Welcome back to Tran Wins Symphony of War. After the last side quest, Sybil became a paladin, and I noticed an interesting bug. I'm only saying it's interesting because if it ever gets patched, that means that somehow this video information can get to the developer. Because I'm pretty sure no one is ever going to bother doing this. Anyways, if you skip the cutscene, and then disband her squad, which you are only allowed to do after she becomes a paladin, then attempt to dismiss her, you get the gem relationship increase. Not because we're trying to dismiss her, but just because that is a holdover, rollover, whatever you want to call it, piece of code from the cutscene I skipped where she appreciates being made a paladin. So if I try to dismiss her again, you'll notice she didn't go up anymore. That was just again, a cutscene left over. Anyways, let's go ahead and deploy and head on to Dragon's Haven. Dragons. What about them? The army who has more of them than the other tends to win battles. The Archalos Empire recognizes this and is attempting to establish a monopoly on dragons by annihilating the broods not under their control. Deep within Nikeda Island rests Dragon Haven. The Azure Dragon's brood king, Azuros, holds out against an attack by Imperial forces. If the Nephilim army can put a stop to this assault, it may be able to win the favor of a powerful, centuries-old dragon. Chapter 20b, Dragon's Haven. Alright, that initial question, like, what about them? It sounds, I feel like I'm walking into a Seinfeld skit, not a dramatic war about either good versus evil or rebels versus empire. It's like, what? Anyways, okay. So this is one of the stages where units can be slightly randomized, and there's a couple things that I've started to piece together. I'll probably go into it in far more detail if I ever made, say, a strategy guide for this, which will only happen if this really takes off on my channel. Otherwise, we're going to move to the next playlist. But, for example, these guys here, they're all going to, in different waves, head towards this dragon that we have to protect. And they are also, if they can't reach the dragon, from what I can tell, they will go for the strongest threat value down towards the weakest, so the reverse of that. Meaning that I can literally put, say, a medic right here in one tile, and all they can do is they're going to just run up and try to shoot Azuros. And if they can't reach Azuros, then they will attack somebody else. They each do kind of have their own AI. The only boss unit's down here. And it looks like he's been randomized again. He doesn't look as cool as he did the first few practice runs I did on this. Alright, let's go ahead and start deploying. So one of the things we're going to be doing is we're actually going to take an entire flight of dragons in that direction. Yeah, we'll go ahead and send Zeteni. Actually, no, let's not take Zeteni. Let's get rid of him. So what I've done is I've actually trained up. So since I told you in the last round that, by the way, that is Zeteni. I made him a samurai for the purposes of tanking, essentially. But in the last mission, I mentioned how I didn't really have sentinels ready to go. Well, I have since rectified that issue. Let's take a look at these guys. And I know they're not sentinels right now. That's, again, for the purpose of this mission. I reorganized my squads a little bit depending on what missions we have. So, for example, there are a lot of rogues on this group. So what I've done is I have typically put the horses in the back. You don't always want your medius units in the back because, and they do this here, but there are centurions, and centurions pierce the front guy as well as the guy right behind him. So he's gonna hit my paladins, or sorry, Valkyries. I always say paladins. He's gonna hit my Valkyries and the wizards right behind. But I am also concerned about the rogues, though I probably shouldn't be, considering I don't think I'm really ever gonna get attacked by the rogues. Still, it looks cooler having the horses in the back for right now. It's a change of pace. Alright, so these are now my flyers at this time. So let's take a look at them. They are all Warriors Hubris Sentinels. And these are guys that I've had in my army for a while. Like, this was probably the previously mentioned level 65 Sentinel. He's 99 now. This guy, he's a level 87 Samurai. Well, really a Sentinel. You can see that he's got no class XP in Samurai. I switched him again for the purpose of this mission. And then level 85 Samurai. So not everybody in my squad has always been level 99. Those are typically squad leaders, notable people like Percy and Zeteni the Undying. People who I don't really change out. They get a lot of screen time. Alright, so now let's actually get to my squads. We have assigned Percy as a knight. And we have room for one more, which will be Jules. Now, the way I've set Jules up is he's got 4 warbows, which is good enough to do moderate levels of damage to enemy. Not so little that it doesn't matter, and not so much that I kill the enemy squad. Because, again, 10 chapters ago or something, I could easily fill 30 warbows. I'm not short on warbows. But I have turned most of them into raiders, because I just like the mobility. So in this case, we have 7 archers. So if I ever needed to go range 2, I would still do enough damage, because realistically, 9 raiders would one-shot any enemy team I run into. Alright, let's get going.
For my people, for my homeland.
Again, we do this just to harass the enemy and lower their morale, so me standing here is going to help flank these 2 right here. Wizards do good work. So this guy's not being flanked yet, which, so again, I'm kind of doing a little bit of morale damage to everybody. So yeah, I probably would be better served leaving the witches in the back, because the Centurions are going to do way more damage to me than rogues will. Nice.
How can I help, my lord?
You make this too easy.
So the first wave will be these 3, and then the light infantry afterwards. The light infantry generally have some sort of range unit, so if you just block Azuros, they will not be retaliated against as they shoot at the dragon. This is good, again, if you're going for some sort of if you're going for a mass surrender campaign like I am. Now, in this setup, my guys are actually stronger than they were in the last mission, One of the reasons is I have brought out more of my higher level troops rather than my lowest level troops. There's a reason for this, and be prepared to be amazed. So we got Barnabas here, and it's pretty amazing that I've maxed out, or at least I assume it's maxed, leadership. And he trains people so much faster if they are lower level. Meaning, let me go to add. Let's take a look at some of my paladins here. So for example, Gwen, I've had her in Barnabas's group for a long time, I think starting at 65. So we'll just pop her here. And like one of the other people that I've had, I think it was like, let's say, Leliani. She was at, we'll say 40 or something. She went up to 100 leadership before Gwen even reached from 65 to 79. And this is not the only time I've seen this. Basically what I would do is I would put people in order of leadership. So Barnabas here, then next highest, and next highest, and so forth, all the way to lowest leadership. So I could easily kind of track visually how fast my people were growing. And yeah, having all my having more max characters is good for crushing the enemy, bad for raising leadership. That being said, it's not like it's helping me any, because other than the flying guy, what is Noel going to need with 68 leadership? Or Zeteni, I think I brought him up to 100 by this point. Yeah, he's got 101 leadership. What's he going to need with that? Now, for characters who cannot become who must stay as squad captains, like her, I will try to focus on giving her leadership points, like capturing towns and stuff, because I can't put her in Barnabas' group. So whatever leadership points she's going to have as a result of her battle experience. Trying to think if I should send Beatrix out there, but I don't think so, because these guys are basically on a fight him if you can, fight the strongest if you can. The random units here do tend to be a lot of tier 2 skirmishers and such. Basically light infantry, really. It makes sense because there's so much rough terrain. Obviously there's going to be heavy units, but those are actually very few comparatively. However, like these two will always be heavy. This one will always be heavy. So there is a static number of heavies around. So the units within will be randomized.
We will always find a way.
I'm gonna hope that this does not kill off the entire squad, because this is 3 heavies in front. Works for me. As long as someone in the squad gets surrender, I count that as a win. Otherwise, I count it as a failure on my part.
I must stay strong.
Trying to think if I should bother shooting them, but not really. Oh, and I don't like that. Okay, should have shot them. Okay, about Meteor. It doesn't lower enemy morale, so the problem with this is I could end up just killing people outright instead. Alright, so to me this run's already a failure, but we'll see how it plays out. If you're seeing it now, I guess it means I must have decided it was good enough to show you. All three of the Sentinel/Samurai that have been brought out have Warrior's Hubris. I also have Warrior's Hubris in books that I can train people. So I've got another wave of Sentinels being geared up, trained, who have Imposing. So they're basically my secondary bench warmers. My bench warmers team of Sentinels who, if I needed them for some reason. I basically ranked my guys in order of how valuable I thought their tier would be for their chosen profession.
The battle lies before me. Stay strong, everyone.
Trying to decide how best to use my blessing. For example, if Jules should rush in, bless, and then run out. I think I'll do it this way.
Ready for the barbecue.
They're both shattered.
Do you know who I am? You make this too easy.
That's a slightly different tactic the enemy's doing now. Normally, those 5 go straight up to Azeros. that's fine for me because they're running to the bulk of my forces. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know how much a road lets him move. So, for example, he might be able to walk there. We'll run up to the fort just in case. Yeah, that works. Actually, I wouldn't mind if he did shoot at my guy. Not only would it really heavily encourage him to continue to take this path rather than rejoin the others, but I would be able to do a little bit of damage. So yeah, we'll stand right inside his attack range. Not close enough that he gets melee, but close enough that he will probably just like run here or here and attack me. And that suits me fine.
Dinner time. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. So this is as far as he should be to go. So that's probably safe. Nope. Well, I guess he shoots, and that's okay too. Again, if they shoot arrows, I'm actually okay with this. Don't think you could reach this part. Yeah. Six. Let's see, he can shoot this range, so that means if I were to stand here, he could probably attack me. So we cannot flank this guy easily, which is fine, because I was getting ready to charge up my teleport ability, so I could teleport this Dragoon if I needed to. We'll see if Jules can take him on his own, though. Fine. Go back one more, because if Jules were to retaliate, that would be catastrophic to the enemy. That looks good to me. The dragon is off-center of the Sentinel/Samurai because if it's just a Samurai or Sentinel by himself, I have actually lost them to the numerous champion attacks, Centurion attacks that the enemy levies upon me. So he's gonna share some of that damage with the dragon now because he can't just tank it on his own anymore. But that being said, these are also not Zetani and Percy. Now, Percy himself is not anything really special. In fact, he's probably not optimized as a Sentinel because he has been gone through a lot of different roles on his way to level 99. He just happened to be one of my first level 99s. In fact, his trait is Treasure Hunter, whereas these guys' traits is Warrior's Hubris as a directly useful defensive stat. Alright, not quite what I wanted, but it was totally within my expectations. Because my dragons can pretty much liquefy light armored units, maybe, we'll say, half the time. Now, remember how I said dragons do morale damage and wizards do a fairly good job making enemies surrender?
Ready for the barbecue.
Watch this. Okay, that wasn't as impressive. Most of the time, she makes 100% of the enemy squad surrender. If I really wanted to secure it, though, I would have placed all of the guys around them. Like, I would have surrounded them with these two samurai.
The time to act is now.
I don't know if standing in the swamp does anything. It doesn't appear to hurt you. I've watched my character's health like over a couple turns to see if it did any invisible damage, and no, I'm not seeing anything. It doesn't seem to affect my morale either, but I haven't stood in it like for 5 turns staring at them. No.
We will always find a way. Ready.
Do you know who I am? You make this too easy. Dinner time. Ready for the barbecue. Do you know who I am?
have found a nice use for Exemplar with my forced surrender methodology. Normally, I would need to send someone out there and cast Exemplar, and all the enemies would attack that unit. So that's fine. I already have a purpose. I already have that happening here. No, instead, if the enemy is using firearms, like here, his is a pretty static unit. Instead of getting shot to death, I'll cast Exemplar on whoever's going in for the kill.
Stay strong, everyone.
First, we're going to soften him up a little bit because I want to get more morale damage.
Time to end this.
It's not that I'm trying to kill anybody in here, I just want them to be sad so that they will surrender. Alright, that's probably enough. So, actually, they don't even have Rifleman anymore, but that's fine. So what we would normally do is we cast Exemplar. We don't have to, but just because we can. Oh wait, it doesn't hurt people inside forts. Oh well.
You make this too easy.
We're gonna also bless her so she can capture the castle, because she needs more leadership than anyone else in my team. Alright, so before we end the mission, we're going to take a look at Azura, who we're defending. These are not necessarily going to be his stats when he joins us, but he's a level 38 Azura. That is not only his name, but his class. He's like a Pokemon. Now, that being said, one of the reasons for this is because he cannot be a dragon rider. He's just a natural dragon. So, and rather than make him, say, Silver Dragon or Blue Dragon, and then unable to lead an army, he is his own class. That's why that's what I'm assuming is going on here. So he leads 2 dragons, which will not be joining us. And you cannot meteor him, you cannot move him, even if he's blue.
Dinner time.
You cannot teleport him either, I tried. Tried all sorts of ways to mess with him. So once you max out your faction rank, you can start to get Medals of Valor. You are Azeros, king of the Azure Dragon Brood, yes? Well, I hope you can understand me. That we can understand each other. Dear Azeros, the Empire sought to harm your brood. Would you join us in the fight against them? Seems you want revenge, dear Azeros. Do not worry. We will protect each other from now on.